What did your boyfriend/girlfriend do that made you think I'm going to marry this person? I was already in love with him and figured I'd spend my life with him. Then my sister had an aneurysm and died some weeks later. His care and compassion during that period really sealed the deal. I was sitting at her funeral with him and realized that one day one of us would have to bury the other. That was sad, but okay. It's been 14 years since then. We've been happily married for 12 and together 18 all up. My wife, then girlfriend, and I went to Chicago for AdFest in 2013. I would get strep like twice a year. Finally got tonsils out in 2014, and on the last day of the festival, I caught it. We were supposed to leave on Tuesday morning, and we had Monday to explore Chicago. But I felt like complete shit and had a high fever. She took care of everything. She went to Target and got me some cheap lounge clothes, got me food, rescheduled our flight, extended our stay in our hotel room. She did it all, man. We flew from Chicago to Seattle, Seattle to Anchorage, so I had a lot of time on the flight to reflect. That kinda solidified it for me. She was so selfless and caring and knew I wanted to be with her forever. We are both military and she was supposed to leave Alaska in like 6 months. And I didn't want to risk long distance or her leaving. So we hurried up and got married like 2 weeks after the Chicago sick trip. Dated for a year and a half and this month will be our 7-year wedding anniversary. Chicago seems to be the place for relationships to get tested and solidified lol. My girlfriend and I were there and got caught in a ton of traffic on the way to the airport, and she was genuinely minutes away from missing an international flight, and I was stressed. But then she took my hand, and I felt this wave of calm run over me. It's been 5 years since that, and she's still got the same effect on me. We were best friends almost from the moment we met, but the specific time that sticks out was a night we spent talking and laughing on her balcony all night until the sun started coming up. Felt like I was reunited with a part of myself that I never knew was missing. Wow, I wish I could experience that someday. Sounds cool. Words don't do it justice. I promise you that however great it sounds, in reality it's even better. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that to try and rub it in. I'm telling you because it's important to remember whenever you are on the fence about going for it. Even if you were to be rejected 10,000 times and ended up in 100 bad relationships, the one is worth every second of looking. Best of luck. My one and I are coming up on our 20th wedding anniversary next month. I can verify that it is amazing when you find them. 22 years blissful togetherness. Not one big moment, but several small ones during 3 years of dating. One day having a light supper, I simply asked, "Do you want to get married?" She simply answered, "Sure. I don't see myself living without you." That's sweet. That is a keeper. I like this. I don't have a big moment either, just a slow peaceful realization that our lives were going to happen in parallel. We were having breakfast in a cafe and she took the bacon and sausages and made a bacon and sausage sandwich with a toast on the side. This is something I used to do up until my teens, but grew out of eventually. Right there and then I thought to myself, I'm gonna have to break my never getting married rule. Well, fuck. What's the matter, honey? Oh, nothing. By the way, are you more of a fan or platinum or white gold? If we are being honest, I actually prefer Ultra Sunday. No, you got it wrong. Leaf green all the way. My grandmother passed away very early into me and my fiance's relationship. I'm very emotional, and he had every right to be scared off, but was nothing but supportive and caring. And when my dad got sick, I absolutely could not have handled it without my fiance's support. Knowing I could cry whenever I wanted, and he would be there to be my shoulder is the truest love I've ever felt. My now wife is the first person I ever opened up to about one of my childhood best friends dying when we were in middle school. I don't know what prompted it, but I felt comfortable enough to share with her only a few months into our relationship, and when I broke down crying, She held me and comforted me and was just an absolute angel. We were only 19, but I think I knew then. I had somebody ask my stepmother whether this nice boy sitting next to me at the dinner table at a wedding was her son-in-law, and I said, quite without thinking about it, not yet, and rather than seeming at all alarmed, my then boyfriend made a face rather like that of a newly adopted puppy which has just discovered it is not going back to the pound. And I was like, oh well then, I like this one the best. My heart just imploded, and I'm short of breath. Swapped out the alternator on my car in under 5 minutes. That's impressive. I wrench on cars and nothing ever really ends up being a 5-minute fix. When I get into it, I'd marry her too. He's a guy. It's what he didn't and did do. He wasn't intimidated or put off by being around my special needs sibling, and after I briefly mentioned a particular food my sibling liked, he brought her some and gave it to her himself, even helping her open the package. Guys I had dated before just stared uncomfortably at her from a distance. As someone with a handicapped mom, I feel you. She is all there mentally, but missing a leg, and sometimes people, especially my previous boyfriends, just stare at the residual limb from a distance, or try to avoid her altogether. This is so real. I'm gonna be completely honest, he said mashed potatoes is just Irish guacamole, and I knew what I had to do. Considering we're on Reddit, this is the most believable one here. I hope you put that in your vows. What the fuck is a potato? My granddad died when we hadn't been together for very long. My husband stayed up with me the whole night that I found out he had died and supported me and made sure I kept eating and drinking. Just last weekend my grandfather died and my boyfriend stayed up the whole night with me just comforting me and supporting me, and I thought I want to marry this guy one day. He was one of the first people to not be disgusted by my diseases that make me bleed constantly. He pretty much said, you don't have control of that, why would I feel any different about you because of something completely out of your control? Bleeding where? If you don't mind me asking. I have very severe endometriosis and chronic pelvic inflammatory disease, so I think you can kinda take a guess off of that, lol. Better than oozing blood out of your skin everywhere. That was what I was envisioning. Not a big moment, but I met my wife when I finished uni and was looking for jobs. I was completely broke. One day we planned to go out for dinner and I had £30 to my name. My petrol was on the low and stupid me thought I could pick her up, make it to the restaurant, drop her back, and make it home. Our meal came to around £46 and my petrol was on empty when we arrived at the restaurant. I remember that day I pretended I just ate and got a dessert while she had her meal. At the end of our date, I asked the waiter for the bill and he smiled back saying she's already taken care of that, she must have paid when she took a trip to the restroom. This is so sweet, congrats on choosing right. My girlfriend at the time had a very sudden, very severe bout of early onset arthritis. It was bad, her knee swelled up to 3 times its normal size and her hands were permanently curled into claws. And she was in pain, bad pain constantly. She was bedbound, and I took all of my vacation and sick days that I could to take care of her, but eventually I had to go back to work. I remember so vividly coming home and seeing that despite her condition she was up and coming to greet me, limping, hands curled like raptor claws, and this giant beautiful smile on her face. She was just so happy to see me, nothing else, not even the massive pain she was in, mattered. I swore I would marry her then and there. Respect plus. Me turns off the PS3 as she sits down on the couch next to me. Her, why'd you stop playing? Me, I figured you'd wanna watch TV or something. Huh, but I love watching you play. Also, could you show me how to play this one? It looks like a lot of fun. She wasn't a gamer before we started living together. I miss her. Miss her? Yeah. She died suddenly a little over 3 years ago. Damn, I'm sorry. Hope you're doing okay. The love of my life died of a knot 3 years ago. There still aren't words to comfort someone for these kinds of losses, but you aren't alone. I hope you've found some healing. While having a really bad episode of OCD related panic attacks, I started apologizing profusely because we had only been dating a few weeks and I didn't want to scare her away. She just held my head and said, "It's okay. This is just us." I could have never in a million years come up with a more comforting, supportive, and calming response. I knew then. He was humming as we were taking a walk together. Then he said, "If I'm ever so lucky as to get to live with you, you'll find that I sing in the shower." The presumptuousness of the comment made me laugh and fall in love. This is too cute. But it's screamo or black metal. When I explained my view of marriage and how I expected to be loved and respected, and he agreed 100%, explaining it back to me in such a way that convinced me he believed the same, and that he truly listened to me and respected my mind and values, I started crying and was sure from that moment on. 3 years later we got married. 5 years after that, and he's exceeded every expectation. I had a dream of what marriage could be, but what it really is for me far exceeds what I had hoped. This is so beautiful. Where do you find these kind of men? Haha, help a girl out. Nothing he does intentionally, but he often has nightmares. He had a tough childhood and suffers from mental health problems. Whenever he has those nightmares, he's freaking out while being asleep. He screams, he kicks, he's out of control. Then I gently put my hand on his head, his hand on his back, and he immediately calms down. His breath slows down, and he stops screaming, etc. I know this is not about me, and I know he's not doing it intentionally, but this is a very special feeling. And he manages to make me feel like this every day. I'm very complicated. I also have some psychological issues and a very fucked up relationship with my mum. He's there, he talks to me, listens, and whenever I need it, he gently puts his hand on my head, my hand or my back. I can't describe how he does it, but he's home for me. This isn't the thing. My partner and I have a long story between us. Not married, but we are weathering the COVID storm together in a 1-bedroom apartment, and will probably tie the knot once the pandemic is a year or 2 behind us. Anyways, we got a walk after wanting one for the longest time. My better half made fried rice yesterday. I got Facebook ads for engagement rings later in the evening. How the fuck did they know? This may be spitballing and totally not true, but I'm slightly drunk, so here's a thought. You know how Facebook sometimes hears what people say and sends ads about that? What if they were talking about rings and your phone picked it up? This is exactly what I was thinking about, and sometimes when I look something up, I go on different apps and see advertisements for the same exact thing I was looking at. Maybe it could have been that. The end. Thanks for watching.